of the mountain has been played. 3 men have taken their turn at the top in the months that have passed, but we're right back where we started. Damon Buckmaster climbed up first, wielding a mighty weapon that was then stripped from his hand. Jason Pridmore clawed to the top, only to stumble enough for Jake Zemke to replace him until Buckmaster's turn came again. And so it went, up until now. 3 men, but only one can be champion. One race will decide it all. That's Formula Xtreme, and it lives on speed. It's time to find out who has what it takes to be champion as the Lockhart Phillips USA Formula Xtreme Series concludes here at Virginia International Raceway.
And what a cool racetrack it is. Look at the front straightaway on the Formula Xtreme bikes. We're going 2.26 miles, 17 turns, and 17 laps. About 170 miles an hour. We have to get the radar on that. But hard braking down into turn 1. A very deceptive corner. There's heat waves coming off the racetrack. So visual perception, real important there.
Adam Ferguson on the pole. Damon Buckmaster missed it by just a few tenths. Then Jason Pridmore and Roger Lee Hayden round out the front row.
Inside of row 2, Josh Hayes. Look for him to be an upset winner here today. He's back on form. Jake Zemke with the championship on the line. Steve Rapp needs to turn his season around. So does Mike Hale.
Damon Buckmaster, the last man to join the starting grid, and now the AMA officials are leaving their positions, and we're getting ready to go. This is the one that everybody on pit road and at VIR, no matter where they are, has been waiting for. The engine revs come up. Damon Buckmaster with a little bit of a false start there, a wheelie, and he lost a couple of positions right off the line as they drag race 4 wide down into turn number 1.
Roger Lee, we got contact and a crash. Bruce Transportation Group clipping the other Honda there. I believe that's Roger Lee Hayden. On the 95 machine, he had a great hole shot, but it was Zemke going for the lead. And that's one way to help your teammate. Just flinched enough to not take Jake Zemke out on the way through.
Well, again, with Suzuki versus Yamaha versus Honda, there are all sorts of hidden agendas, and not exactly team orders, but certainly championships at stake mean that riders are going to have perhaps a second agenda here. How about that, Greg?
Well, talking to Adam Ferguson before the race, here's the deal. If Adam is in a checkout situation, meaning he's got more than, say, 2 or 3 laps on Jason, he's going to win the race. If Jason's anywhere near him, Adam said, hey, I'm a Suzuki rider. I'm going to roll out of it and let him on by. Brian?
Right now, it's probably less than a second, and in fact, 6/10 at start-finish line for Adam Ferguson over exactly the man who he is in a position to help, if that's possible, Jason Pridmore. Here's the way the math works out right now, and it works out in favor of Damon Buckmaster, who leads Jason Pridmore by 5 points in the championship. Bucky is behind Jason by 3 points on the racetrack, so the net is +2 Damon Buckmaster right now.
So he can just sit there and park in that position. Ben Spees with an aggressive undertaking move on the brakes over Tom Kipp on the number 10 Valvoline Emgo Suzuki. But Ben Spees, one of the youngest riders out here in the Formula Xtreme class, learning the big bikes, learning the slicks, kids on to super bikes perhaps next year.
Let me lay another scenario for you. You talked about it before. Adam Ferguson moves over, lets Pridmore by, blocks Buckmaster. That's the only scenario right now that would allow Jason Pridmore to win this Formula Xtreme Championship.
Just real quick on Adam Ferguson, he told me, his quote was, listen, if I'm going to let Jason by, I will not block Damon Buckmaster. I will just ride as hard as I can behind Jason. The other story with Jake Zemke is the horsepower of the Honda is so incredible that they were basically just spinning the tire all the way around this racetrack. They put a bigger gasket on the top of the cylinder head to reduce compression to make the motor a lot softer for Jake. So he can't, even if he works his way up, he's not going to do it on horsepower ski. He's got to do it on complete corner speed. Brian and Ski?
Watching a great battle between Mike Hale and Tom Kipp, and I mean 2 veteran riders going at it like a couple of kids out there.
Yeah. These guys know each other real well. Mike Hale gave a little hand gesture to Tom Kipp and said, hey man, no contact with me, buddy, but that was fun.
Yeah, thanks. I was just about to say that. If Jake gets into 3rd, which he is now, the buzz down here is if Pridmore stays in 2nd place, what happens to the championship? All of a sudden, with Buckmaster out, we have another race on, Brian.
At VIR, Adam Krusty Ferguson on the 322 Corona Extra Suzuki out in front and in a position to win the battle. The war, however, is between Jason Pridmore and Jake Zemke. Damon Buckmaster is completely out of the picture, struggling around the racetrack. On the previous lap, he was clear down in 17th place and more than a lap behind the leader.
This time by the stripe will be 2 to go.
Adam Krusty Ferguson, showing the crowd here at Virginia International Raceway that he can win, he can wheelie, and Jason Pridmore follows him home, showing the crowd and everybody that he is capable of winning championships again. Here are the final results from Formula Xtreme at Virginia International. Adam Ferguson wins the race. Jason Pridmore wins the championship. Jake Zemke wins the hearts of all the fans here from going 17th to 3rd and tying in points at the end. We take a look at the way the points went down to the wire here, tied. Now, last year it was 1 point difference. It just keeps getting better.
Now, these motorcycles are incredible. 380 pounds, 140 horsepower at the rear wheel, stock right out of the box. That's about as good as it gets.
Tied in points, 2 wins to 1 for Jason Pridmore. Was good enough to take the championship, so on a tiebreaker, your 2002 Formula Xtreme champion is Jason Pridmore. Thanks to David Sadowski, to Greg White, and you for joining us. I'm Brian Drever. We'll see you.